Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Look, if you're a parent or a caregiver tuning in right now, I want to kick things off by just acknowledging something incredibly real. Managing your teenager's screen time is purely, utterly exhausting. I mean, the nightly arguments, that constant nagging to just please put the device away, that sinking feeling that you're literally losing your kid to a glowing rectangle, it is so draining. Your worries are absolutely valid. We see you. And today we're going to dive into the source material to completely flip the script on how we tackle this modern parenting battle.
So why can't they just put the phone down? It's the ultimate question, right? It's that core frustration every single parent feels when screen time turns into a battleground. You ask them to log off, they say just 5 more minutes. And an hour later, they're still scrolling. It's so easy to view this as a behavioral issue. We naturally think, man, if they just listen better, or if they just had a little bit more self-control. But to actually help our kids, we've got to reframe this entirely. We have to stop looking at this as some kind of moral or behavioral failing and start understanding it for what it actually is, a biological reality.
I really want you to listen to this quote. You're not weak. You're not broken. Apps are just built to be hard to leave. Let that sink in for a second. This is such a powerful, reassuring truth, and it's exactly what we need to be telling our teens. Today, we are completely shattering the willpower myth. Because if your teen can't put their phone down, it doesn't mean they lack discipline. It means they're up against platforms that are flawlessly engineered to grab and hold human attention. It's time we shift our focus away from our teens' perceived failure and shine a light on the app's intentional design.
Okay, let's get right into Section 1, the biology of the scroll, and exactly why willpower is just not enough here.
To beat the machine, we first have to understand our own biology. There's a really stark contrast happening in our living rooms. On one hand, we have this outdated parental assumption of a willpower deficit. But on the other hand, the reality is biological hijacking. Your teenager isn't just going up against a neutral piece of glass or a simple ticking clock. Their developing brain is actively being manipulated by billion-dollar attention machines. We're talking about platforms built by thousands of engineers whose literal singular job is to keep your kid's eyes glued to that screen. So pitting a teenager's developing willpower against that level of sophisticated machinery, it's just not a fair fight.
Let's actually break down the brain chemistry for a second. These platforms are designed to exploit our natural feel-good chemicals to create this incredibly powerful variable reinforcement loop. Every single time your teen gets a notification, a new like, or finds a hilarious video, boom, their brain gets a sudden hit of dopamine. That's our brain's ultimate reward seeker, and it constantly reinforces that habit of checking the phone just one more time. And then you have oxytocin, the connection booster. Social media inherently promises social connection, right? That triggers oxytocin, which makes us feel trusted, seen, and included by our peers. And let's be honest, peer inclusion is literally everything to a teenager. This specific combo of an unpredictable reward mixed with deep social connection creates a cycle that is biologically overwhelming. It's a profound neurochemical hook.
Which brings us to Section 2, the hidden traps. Let's take a look inside the algorithmic machine.
Now that we get the biology, let's pull back the curtain on the platforms themselves. Think of this like activating an X-ray mode to reveal the hidden traps right under our noses. These apps have a hidden build working directly against your teen. You've got infinite scroll spirals, meaning there are literally no natural stopping points built into the interface anymore, so users just completely lose track of time. Then you have those constant bright red notification spikes. Those aren't red by accident. They're designed specifically to mimic emergency alerts to trigger this urgent sense of curiosity. And of course, you have the algorithmic feedback cycle, calculating exactly what will keep that specific user engaged for just 5 more seconds. It's a digital labyrinth built from the ground up to make leaving incredibly difficult.
So, what do we do about it? That's Section 3, rethinking rules and making the paradigm shift to harm reduction.
If willpower isn't the answer, and the machines are really this smart, we need a massive narrative shift. We have to move away from parent versus teen and build an empowering alliance of family versus the algorithm. Now, most of us as parents instinctively reach for rigid rules, right? Time limits, app bans, confiscating the phone. But when something feels off with a teen's social media use, it almost never starts as intentional rule breaking. Digital distress usually shows up as a change in behavior, like severe mood shifts, changes in sleep, or suddenly withdrawing from family. And this happens long before our kids even have the vocabulary to tell us what's wrong. So we really need a safety-first mindset, prioritizing support and connection way ahead of immediate punishment. And that brings us to 2 incredibly vital concepts from our source material that shift us entirely away from blame and bans.
First is social media harm reduction, or SMHR. Think of this as your overarching safety framework. It's basically a public health approach. It assumes that, yes, teens are inevitably going to use social media, but it focuses entirely on reducing the negative impacts without throwing judgment around. Second is social media first aid, or SMFA. These are your practical tools. This is what you and your teen actually do in the exact moment to respond early and effectively when something feels just a little bit off online.
All right, Section 4, Social Media First Aid. Let's put these tools directly into your hands. So how do we apply this in the real world? Well, it starts with this fantastic 4-step exercise called the system override, and it's an absolute game changer for giving teens their agency back. Step 1. Pause. Just hit the mental stop button for 5 seconds to break that autopilot scrolling. Step 2. Question. Ask yourself, why did I actually open this app? Try to identify the trigger. Step 3. Reframe. This is where you look at the trick, not just the content. Realize that a notification is a feature designed by an engineer to hook you, not necessarily a friend desperately needing to reach out. And finally, Step 4. Choose. Set a clear, deliberate exit plan. Turn that mindless drift into an active, conscious decision. And look, teaching them to use this override doesn't mean deleting every app and making them move to the woods. It means showing your teens that they are the ones holding the manual controls. Here's the secret. When they understand the machine's tricks, the tricks instantly lose their power. Your teens transform from being passive consumers, completely at the mercy of an algorithm, into the active drivers of their own digital experience. Now, beyond the override, we also have feedcraft tactics. And parents, this is where you can really empower your kids. This is all about teaching teens how to actively train their algorithms instead of just passively absorbing whatever toxic content gets thrown at them. For example, you can teach them that swiping away super fast from bad content actually counts as a powerful vote for change in the system. You can show them how running a few intentionally boring searches, like looking up how to bake bread, can literally scramble a stressed-out recommendation loop. They can mold their feed to serve them, not the other way around.
An absolutely crucial part of feedcraft is understanding that silence is power. When a teen sees a post that makes them furious, the natural human urge is to jump in the comments, argue, and correct it. But here's the catch. The algorithm literally doesn't know the difference between angry typing and happy typing. Arguing just registers as high engagement, so the platform will happily serve them more of that exact same stressful content. The real superpower here is just closing the app, scrolling right past the drama, and talking about that frustration offline with a real person.
The big takeaway here is this. The phone's user interface is really just a control panel, and your teen can be the architect. Whether it's muting notifications, aggressively unfollowing accounts that trigger comparison, or using those active feedcraft tactics we just talked about, they have the tools to shape their digital environment. By helping them master these specific tools, you are directly equipping them to take control of their time, their mood, and ultimately their self-esteem.
I want to take a big deep breath right here and deeply reassure all the worried parents watching. The goal of all this, it isn't panic. It is definitely not perfection. And it certainly isn't achieving zero screen time. It is simply about building safer, more resilient digital patterns together. It's about noticing the signs of digital distress early on and stepping in with supportive, actionable tools rather than panic and punishment. Remember, you and your teen are on the exact same team.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a quick thought to chew on. The next time you notice a shift in your teen's behavior, or something just feels off about their phone use, what are you going to reach for first? Is it going to be rigid rules, an empathetic conversation, or maybe just a shared pause? There is no perfect answer, but taking a breath and just noticing what's happening is the very first step to taking the power back from the machine. You've got this. Thanks so much for learning with me today.